Here's a balance point of the club. It's a perfect demonstration of how the balance point works. Practically moves on its own. Here's another demonstration of the pendulum effect. There's no effort. It's the use of gravity. It's the use of the balance points. This is a Japanese golfer, and it's just a wedge swing because he's got a very simple motion. It's the pendulum type motion I was talking about. You can see here, there's one secret to golf. It's basically the magic move, and it's that right elbow going down towards that right hip. If you want to be a good golfer, you do that move over and over and over again. See how it gets very close to that right hip, comes down to it. You don't jam it in there, it just drops to it. Here's another important part is you've got 90 degrees between the forearm and the shaft. It's both forearms. It's another important position. I call it palm up, toe up. Your right hand of your palm faces up to the sky, the forearm points up, and literally that club is toed up as well. The toe points to the sky. I can show you here in a screenshot the 90 degrees. There's the 90s. So there's 90s all to each other, the forearms to the shaft, both forearms. From this position, it's just a matter of bringing that right elbow down to your hip and extending your elbow. It feels like you're punching through the shot. It's very effective. You'll absolutely pound the ball. It's using forces of gravity and the proper biomechanics. I'll demonstrate this later in the video because I want you to try it. I want you to physically try the things I'm going to show you, and I'll prove to you just how powerful it is. Okay, let's do another view, a face-on view so that you can see it. Here's the 90s. This is a full swing. 90s to the shaft of the forearm, and that elbow moves to the right hip. You don't pull your hands down. The elbow just goes into the hip. All good golfers do that move. Every one of them. Here you can see the hip open. And that's what a lot of pros do. I personally have trouble getting my hip open. I have a physical problem that makes it difficult, so you can compensate, and I'll show you that as well. You can start with an open hip, for instance. And the hip doesn't necessarily have to be open, but if all the best players do it, it's something to emulate, or at least try and emulate. So once again, I wanted to show you from this view another important aspect. There's the one between the relationship between the right elbow and drop it to that right hip. There's the 90 degrees, the shaft of the forearms, and you maintain that. If you do that, you'll get an excellent flail action, and you'll just pound a ball with almost no effort. Full swing, half swing. You can try it with the wedge to start, and I'll show you that in just a few moments. I'll demonstrate that move. See how the pelvis is open? And there's a 25-degree tilt. You can see that as well. All good players do that tilt. So why wouldn't we emulate that and do exactly the same things? Here it is in full motion. Extend that elbow, maintain the 90s, get the magic move done. Oh, I've been reading Harvey Penick's Little Red Book over again. It's a very popular book, very simple, famous teacher. He taught a lot of pros, a lot of famous pros, a lot of winners, even his major winners, Crenshaw. So anyway, he used to hang out with even Ben Hogan, all sorts of, and Jackie Burke. So he used some of Burke's things in his teachings, and one of them is make a fist with your left hand. Okay, that's all you do. Make a fist, right? And that's the cock of your wrist, just like in boxing. You grab the handle. I'm not going to put the thumb on top like I normally do. I'm just going to grab it, okay? And then it's my palm up toe up idea, which Penick said basically get to this position. And then he talked about the magic move. If there's one move in golf that's magic, which is it? It's the elbow coming to the right hip. He said to practice that thousands of times. It's something I do. You've seen me lift and come down to it. It's the one move in golf that works. No matter how you do it, it works. Okay? So, you have the 90-degree angles I talked about. Drop the hip, and then it's the balance point. The balance point lines up with the butt. And that's going to be 4 inches out in front of the ball. I'm going to add one other thing, 25 degrees of tilt, which I told you every golfer, every good golfer does. Okay, and I'm going to open my hip, and I'm just going to do a pendulum move. I'm going to line up the sweet spot to the butt out in front of the ball. That's all I'm going to do. So watch the result. Go to Harvey Penick's magic move. Same stuff I'm teaching. It's the same stuff on all swings. When you do it, you just pound the ball. Just will pound the ball. So both those balls, hit this tree. That first one, I flew way up into the tree. It's a good thing it hit the tree. So learn what matters. Learn what's important. It's all about knowing how to use your elbow. Elbow to the hip, 25 degrees of tilt. I can close my hip and then get it open, the pelvis. Or I can start with it that way, for instance, how I do it on pitches. And all I'm doing is that pendulum move. I'm lining up the, balance point of the club to the handle, standing it up, as we say. And I'm making a punch motion with my fists. I'm popping my elbow. Try it. It's so easy. The speed is incredible. If you want to know how a pro is doing it, just try what I've told you. Put it into its simplest form, and you'll start to understand exactly where power comes from.